The mob boss's baby was wasting away ounce by ounce inside the most protected hospital in Philadelphia. Armed men guarded every elevator. Specialists studied every chart. Millions of dollars bought the best machines money could buy. Still, Noah Maddox was dying. At 3:17 in the morning, night nurse Emily Carter stood beneath the cold pharmacy lights and found something no doctor had seen. A needle mark, nearly invisible, hidden behind the label of the baby's IV bag. In that moment, a medical mystery became a murder plot. What followed would expose the difference between power and protection loyalty and blood fear and love. Stay until the end, because one quiet decision will change an entire family forever. Like the video and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. 3 weeks earlier, long before Emily Carter found the needle mark hidden behind Noah Maddox's IV label, the night began with rain. It fell over Philadelphia in silver sheets, turning the streets into black mirrors beneath the traffic lights. Water rushed along the curbs of South Broad Street. Tires hissed over wet pavement. Above the city, thunder rolled behind the clouds like something heavy moving in the dark. Olivia Maddox sat in the back seat of a black SUV, one hand resting beneath the curve of her stomach. The baby had been restless all evening. She smiled when she felt another small kick beneath her palm. "All right," she whispered. "I know. We're almost home." Her driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Everything okay, Mrs. Maddox?" "He has opinions about traffic." The driver smiled. Just like his father. Olivia looked through the rain-streaked window at the blurred lights outside. A motorcycle moved past them in the next lane, its rider hidden beneath a dark helmet. For a moment, the bike remained beside the SUV. Then it accelerated through the intersection. Olivia's phone vibrated in her lap. Cole's name appeared on the screen. She answered. "You're checking on me again." Cole's voice came through low and steady. "You left the doctor 20 minutes ago, and according to the laws of Philadelphia traffic, that means I should arrive home sometime next spring. You sound tired." "I'm pregnant, Cole. Tired is no longer a condition. It's a personality." He laughed softly. It was a sound few people ever heard. "I had the kitchen make soup. You had the kitchen make soup. I gave an order. The result is soup." Olivia closed her eyes, smiling. "I'll be home soon." A flash appeared beneath the vehicle. The world turned white. The explosion lifted the SUV from the street and threw it sideways into a concrete support column. Glass burst inward. Metal folded with a scream. Fire rolled across the road as the vehicle landed on its side. The phone connection remained open for 3 seconds. Cole heard the blast, then silence. He was already moving before the line went dead. By the time his convoy reached the underpass, police cruisers and fire trucks blocked the road. Flames climbed from the rear of the destroyed SUV. Smoke rolled beneath the bridge, thick and black. Cole stepped out before his car stopped moving. One of his men grabbed his arm. "Boss, wait." Cole tore free. He crossed the wet pavement through shattered glass and burning debris. A firefighter shouted at him to stay back. Cole did not slow down. Paramedics had cut through the side of the vehicle. Olivia lay on a stretcher beneath the rain, her face pale beneath streaks of blood. Her dress had been cut open. A medic pressed both hands against her chest, while another monitored the faint rhythm coming from the child inside her. Cole stopped beside the stretcher. For one terrible second, he did not recognize his wife. Then he saw her wedding ring. Olivia. The name left him like breath from a wound. A paramedic stepped between them. "Sir, we need room." Cole looked at the monitor. "What's happening?" "We have no pulse from the mother." The words entered the air, but Cole did not seem to understand them. The medic continued. "The baby still has cardiac activity. We have to move now." Cole reached for Olivia's hand. Her skin was warm from the fire and cold from the rain. "Save them." The medic's expression changed. "We are going to do everything we can." Cole tightened his grip on Olivia's fingers. Save them. No one in Philadelphia ignored an order from Cole Maddox. That night, the universe did. The ambulance doors closed. Cole followed it through the city with Olivia's blood drying across his hands. At Liberty Children's Medical Center, surgeons were waiting before the ambulance arrived. Olivia was taken directly into an operating room. Cole stood outside beneath white lights that made everything look painfully clean. He still held her wedding ring. A nurse had removed it before surgery and placed it in his palm. Minutes dragged past. Men from the Maddox organization filled the hallway. Some spoke into phones. Others watched the elevators with their hands inside their coats. Cole heard fragments of conversation. A device beneath the vehicle. Military-grade wiring. No claim of responsibility. Possible retaliation. Baltimore crew. Russian crew. None of it reached him. His entire world had narrowed to the red light above the operating room door. When the light went dark, a surgeon stepped into the hallway. There was blood on the front of his gown. Cole rose. The surgeon removed his cap. "Mr. Maddox, your son was delivered by emergency surgery. He is alive, but he was born at 31 weeks. He is extremely vulnerable." Cole stared at the man. "And my wife?" The surgeon looked down. "I'm sorry." The hallway became silent. Cole did not shout. He did not strike anyone. He simply stood there with Olivia's ring pressed into his palm until the edge cut his skin. Then a faint cry came from behind the operating room doors. Small, thin, alive. Cole turned toward the sound. His son had entered the world in blood and fire, and Cole had no idea how to hold him. They named the baby Noah, as Olivia had chosen months earlier. By sunrise, Noah had been transferred to the neonatal intensive care unit on the 7th floor. He lay beneath clear plastic surrounded by wires, tubes, and machines. His skin was red and delicate. His chest moved with shallow effort. Cole stood outside the incubator still wearing the same shirt from the night before. There was blood on his cuff. A nurse approached and asked him to wash his hands before touching the baby. One of Cole's men took a step forward. Cole raised a hand. The man stopped. Cole washed his hands for the required 2 minutes. Then he washed them again. The nurse opened a small circular port in the incubator. "You can place one finger near his hand." Cole looked at her. "That's all?" For now. His hand hovered above the opening. This was the same hand that had signed death orders, held weapons, and built an empire from fear. Now it shook as he reached toward a child who weighed less than 5 pounds. Noah's fingers did not close around him. The baby remained still beneath the lights. Cole withdrew his hand. "Is he in pain?" "We're keeping him comfortable." "That isn't what I asked." The nurse hesitated. "Premature infants experience stress differently. We monitor him closely." Cole looked at the machines, then monitored him more closely. By noon, the 7th floor no longer felt like part of a hospital. Cole's security team took control of both elevators and the service stairs. Every employee entering the unit was identified and searched. Visitors were redirected. Deliveries were inspected. 2 private rooms were converted into command posts for Cole's men. The hospital administrator arrived with 3 attorneys. Cole met them in a consultation room overlooking the river. The administrator folded his hands on the table. "Mr. Maddox, we understand your concern, but this level of private security violates hospital policy." Cole sat across from him without removing his coat. "My wife was murdered last night. We are deeply sorry. My son survived an attempt on his life before he took his first breath. We have no evidence that the child was specifically targeted." Cole leaned forward. "That is because you have not found the evidence yet." One attorney cleared his throat. "The hospital must remain accessible to other patients and their families." "It will. Your men are carrying weapons. So are the officers downstairs. They are licensed law enforcement." Cole looked toward his lawyer. His lawyer opened a folder. The Maddox Foundation has committed $48 million to Liberty Children's over the past 6 years. There is an additional $20 million expansion grant awaiting final approval. The administrator's expression tightened. Cole kept his eyes on him. My men will not interfere with medical care. They will not enter restricted areas without permission. They will not speak to another patient's family. But no one reaches my son without passing through them. The administrator glanced at the folder. This is not how a hospital operates. Cole rose. It is now. Emily Carter arrived for the night shift 12 hours later. She stepped off the elevator carrying a canvas medical bag and a paper cup of coffee. 2 large men blocked her path. One held out his hand. Identification. Emily showed him her hospital badge. The second man pointed toward her bag. Open it. Emily looked at him. No. The man's eyebrows lifted. No. You may verify my identification. You may ask security to inspect the outside of my bag. You may not place your hands inside sterile medical equipment. We have orders, so do I. She moved to pass them. The first man stepped in front of her. Emily stopped close enough to read the small scar beneath his chin. Listen carefully, she said. There are 12 premature infants behind those doors. Some of them can develop fatal infections from contamination that would barely make you sneeze. If you touch my supplies with the same hands you used to hold that elevator button, I will remove you from this floor myself. The man stared at her. A voice came from the hallway. Let her through. Cole stood near the NICU entrance. He had changed clothes, but he looked no less exhausted. His face was pale beneath dark stubble. His gaze moved from Emily's badge to her medical bag. The guards stepped aside. Emily walked past them. As she reached Cole, she paused. Your security team needs infection control training. One of the men behind her muttered something. Cole ignored him. Are you assigned to my son? I'm assigned to every infant in the East section tonight. I want you assigned only to Noah. That isn't how nursing assignments work. I can speak to the director. You can speak to anyone you like. I still have other patients. Cole studied her face as though searching for fear. He found none. What's your name, Emily Carter? You know who I am? Yes. And you're comfortable speaking to me that way. Emily pushed open the unit doors. I'm comfortable speaking to any parent that way when necessary. She entered the NICU without looking back. For the first 4 days, Noah remained stable. He needed respiratory support, but his lungs responded to treatment. He tolerated the nutrition delivered through his IV. His blood pressure improved. The doctors told Cole that every uneventful hour was a victory. Cole did not celebrate. He sat beside the incubator and watched the monitors. He learned the meaning of every alarm. He knew Noah's heart rate, oxygen level, temperature, and medication schedule. He wrote questions in a black notebook and demanded answers during morning rounds. He slept in a private waiting room for 20 minutes at a time. Sometimes Emily found him standing beside the glass at 2 a.m, Olivia's ring turning slowly between his fingers. She never asked him to leave. She only reminded him to wash his hands. On the 5th day, Noah lost 3 ounces. Dr. Henry Caldwell called it expected fluctuation. Caldwell was the chief of neonatology, a man with silver hair, careful manners, and a reputation that drew wealthy families from across the country. His white coat always looked freshly pressed. His voice remained calm even when everyone around him panicked. Premature infants often lose weight after birth, he explained. Cole stood beside Noah's incubator. How much is normal? It depends on several factors. That is not a number. Caldwell glanced at the chart. At this stage, we are watching the trend rather than a single measurement. The next morning, Noah lost 2 more ounces. Then another. His cheeks began to look hollow. His limbs appeared thinner beneath the blankets. Though his nutrition was increased, his body seemed unable to keep anything. Caldwell ordered blood tests, imaging, and gastrointestinal studies. The results were confusing. Noah showed signs of caloric deprivation, but no clear reason for it. His abdomen remained soft. His digestive system was immature but functioning. His liver values shifted, then partially normalized. His temperature rose during the night and fell again by afternoon. Caldwell presented a diagnosis of severe metabolic instability complicated by malabsorption. Cole listened from the end of the conference table. What does that mean? It means his body may not be processing nutrients effectively. He is receiving nutrition through his veins. Yes, but premature infants can have difficulty using fats and proteins at a cellular level. So change the formula. We already have. Change it again. Caldwell removed his glasses. Mr. Maddox's medicine is not a negotiation. Cole leaned forward. Everything is a negotiation. Emily stood near the door holding Noah's chart. She watched Caldwell's hands. They were steady. His voice was steady. Only the vein near his temple moved. Over the next week, specialists arrived from New York, Boston, and Baltimore. They reviewed Noah's labs. They suggested rare genetic disorders, intestinal dysfunction, endocrine disease, and complications from premature birth. More blood was drawn. More machines were brought into the room. Noah continued to shrink. Cole's organization began to feel the strain of his absence. Men arrived with documents requiring signatures. Phones rang constantly in the private waiting room. Rivals tested old boundaries. Shipments disappeared. Accounts were frozen. Grant Maddox handled most of it. Grant was Cole's older cousin and underboss. He had a smooth voice, expensive suits, and the kind of patience that made people mistake him for a reasonable man. He brought Cole fresh clothes and updates from the street. "You need sleep," Grant said one night. Cole stood at the observation window. "I'll sleep when he comes home. The family needs you clear. My son needs me here." Grant followed his gaze toward the incubator. "Then stay. I'll keep everything standing." Cole looked at him. "You always have." Grant placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're blood." For the first time in days, Cole's expression softened. He trusted Grant with the organization because he had trusted him since childhood. They had grown up in the same house after Grant's father went to prison. They had fought together, bled together, and buried men together. Grant had stood beside Cole at his wedding. He had held Olivia's hand at the hospital after her first miscarriage. When Grant promised to protect the family, Cole believed him. Inside the NICU, Emily noticed Noah's decline taking on a rhythm. During some shifts, his heart rate settled and his temperature remained close to normal. During others, he became restless within hours of a new nutrition bag. She asked Caldwell whether the feeding schedule should be reconsidered. He barely looked up from the chart. "The schedule is appropriate. His temperature rises after the overnight infusion. Premature infants have poor temperature regulation. His pulse rises too. So does his respiratory effort." Emily lowered her voice. "Those symptoms improve before the daytime bag is connected." Caldwell closed the chart. "Nurse Carter, I appreciate your attention, but several specialists have reviewed this case, and none of them can explain why he's getting worse." Caldwell's eyes sharpened. "You are not responsible for diagnosing him." "No, I'm responsible for noticing when something is wrong. What is wrong is that he was born 9 weeks early after a catastrophic trauma." Emily held his gaze. "That does not explain everything." Caldwell handed the chart back to her. "Do your job." She took it. "I am." That evening, Cole found Noah's weight written on the board beside the incubator. 4 pounds 6 ounces. 3 days earlier, he had weighed 5 pounds. Cole stared at the number. Caldwell entered with 2 other physicians. Cole turned. "You said the new formula would help." "We are still evaluating his response. He lost 10 ounces. Caldwell adjusted his glasses. We believe the metabolic demand on his body is unusually high. You believe. We are doing everything medically possible. Cole crossed the room before anyone could stop him. He seized Caldwell by the front of his coat and drove him back against the observation glass. One of the physicians gasped. Cole's men moved closer to the doors. My son is starving while food runs directly into his blood, Cole said. You have 6 doctors, 3 laboratories, and every machine in this building. Tell me why. Caldwell's face reddened. I cannot give you an answer that does not exist. Then find one. Noah's monitor began to alarm. Emily looked up from the medication station. His heart rate was rising. She crossed the room quickly. Let him go. Cole did not turn. Emily stepped closer. Cole. It was the first time she had used his name. His grip tightened. Emily pointed through the glass. Noah can hear you. Cole looked toward the monitor. The numbers continued climbing. He released Caldwell. The doctor stumbled away, straightening his coat. I will review the laboratory results again. He left without looking at Emily. Cole remained beside the glass, breathing hard. Emily opened the incubator port and placed her hand inside. Her voice softened. Easy, Noah. You're safe. The baby moved weakly beneath the blanket. Emily rested one finger near his palm. His tiny hand closed around it. Cole watched. He doesn't do that with me. You stand over him like you're interrogating a witness. I don't know how to touch him. Emily looked at Cole's hands. They were large, scarred, and clenched at his sides. Wash them. I already did. Then do it again. He looked at her. She waited. Cole went to the sink. When he returned, Emily opened the second port in the incubator. Move slowly. Cole placed his hand inside. His fingers trembled. Emily guided his index finger beside hers. Noah's hand loosened from Emily and closed around Cole. Cole went completely still. The anger left his face. For several seconds, he looked younger than 34. Not softer exactly, just unguarded. He knows you, Emily said. Cole swallowed. How your voice, your scent, the way your hand feels. I've barely held him. He heard you before he was born. Cole's eyes moved toward the ring in his palm. Olivia used to say he kicked whenever I came into the room. Emily did not offer sympathy. She sensed he would reject it. Instead, she adjusted the blanket near Noah's shoulder. Then he already knows you're loud. A quiet breath escaped Cole. It might have been the beginning of a laugh. Noah's heart rate began to settle. Cole kept his finger inside the incubator long after Emily stepped away. Near midnight, she returned to the nurse's station and opened Noah's chart. She reviewed the latest laboratory values. Caldwell's diagnosis still did not fit. Severe malabsorption should have produced clearer gastrointestinal signs. Noah's abdomen was not significantly distended. His stool studies did not match the level of nutrient loss. His liver values were abnormal but inconsistent. The sudden nighttime temperature spikes remained unexplained. Emily opened the medication record. Noah received customized total parenteral nutrition twice each day. Each bag was mixed in the hospital pharmacy according to Caldwell's orders, sealed, transported in a locked container, and stored in the refrigerated medication room. She wrote the infusion times in her notebook. Then she added every recorded weight. A pattern began to emerge. Noah's weight held steady through many daytime shifts. The sharpest declines appeared in the early morning several hours after the overnight bag had been connected. Emily checked the nursing assignments. Different nurses had worked those shifts. She checked the pharmacy technicians. Different names appeared there too. She compared Noah's temperatures. The highest readings also followed the overnight infusion. At 2 in the morning, another nurse approached with a cup of tea. "You're still on that chart." Emily covered part of the page with her hand. "Something is wrong. We know something is wrong." "No, something specific." The nurse looked toward Caldwell's office. "The specialists say it's metabolic. That word is being used because no one has an answer. You think they missed something?" Emily looked through the glass at Noah. His body seemed almost lost beneath the blankets. "I think everyone decided his decline made sense because he was premature. And you don't... I think sick babies can still be harmed by more than one thing." The nurse studied her face. "You should be careful." Emily looked down at the chart. "With what?" "With how hard you push. Caldwell doesn't like being questioned." Emily closed the notebook. Then he chose the wrong profession. At 3 o'clock, the unit settled into its quietest hour. Rain touched the windows. The monitors pulsed in soft green lines. Cole had finally fallen asleep in the private waiting room, sitting upright with his head against the wall. Emily walked past him carrying a clipboard. Even asleep, he looked tense. Olivia's ring remained locked inside his fist. Emily entered the medication corridor. She checked the delivery log. A new nutrition bag for Noah had arrived from the pharmacy less than 30 minutes earlier. It had been transported in the correct sealed container. The barcode had been scanned. The electronic record showed no discrepancy. Still, something inside her refused to settle. She swiped her access card and entered the refrigerated room. Cold air touched her face. Rows of labeled medications rested beneath white fluorescent lights. Emily found Noah's shelf. 2 pale bags of nutritional fluid waited inside. She checked the first barcode. Correct. She checked the printed composition. Correct. She examined the pharmacy seal. Intact. For a moment, she wondered whether exhaustion had led her too far. Perhaps Caldwell was right. Perhaps she was searching for intention inside a tragedy that had none. Then she remembered Noah's temperature rising in the dark. She remembered the weight falling every morning. Emily lifted the bag toward the light. At first, she saw nothing. The milky fluid inside looked smooth and ordinary. The label was clean. The pharmacy seal remained unbroken. There were no stains, no torn edges, no obvious sign that anyone had touched it after delivery. Then she tilted the bag. A tiny dark point appeared behind the lower corner of the printed label. Emily moved closer to the fluorescent light. The mark vanished. She changed the angle again. There. A puncture so small it could have been mistaken for a flaw in the plastic. Someone had pushed a needle through the bag, then covered the opening with a thin drop of clear adhesive. Her pulse began to climb. She inspected the second bag. The same mark appeared in nearly the same place. Not a manufacturing defect. Not an accident. A method. Emily placed both bags back on the shelf, exactly as she had found them. She removed 2 sterile evidence containers from a nearby cabinet, then stopped. If she took the bags now, whoever had tampered with them might notice immediately. The person responsible could destroy records, disappear, or prepare another way to reach Noah. She needed proof before anyone realized she had found the entry point. Emily opened a sealed syringe, drew a small sample from the first bag through an approved port, and transferred the liquid into a sterile glass tube. She repeated the process with the second bag. Then she took a control sample from a newly delivered nutrition bag intended for another infant with a similar formula. She labeled each tube using case numbers rather than patient names. Her hands remained steady. That frightened her more than shaking would have. She had felt this kind of calm before. Years earlier, inside a military transport helicopter, she had knelt over a soldier with blood filling his chest while rounds struck the metal beneath her knees. The world had been noise and motion, yet her mind had narrowed to a single task. Stop the bleeding. Keep him breathing. Do not think about what happens if you fail. Now, the same cold focus returned. She placed the tubes inside a padded specimen pouch, slipped it beneath her clipboard, and left the refrigerated room. The corridor remained empty. At the far end of the unit, Noah's monitor sounded a soft warning. Emily moved quickly. His heart rate had risen again. His skin looked flushed beneath the phototherapy light. A nurse stood beside the incubator adjusting the temperature settings. "He started climbing 10 minutes ago," the nurse said. "What is running?" "The overnight nutrition." Emily looked at the tubing. The bag currently connected to Noah had been delivered the previous evening. Another contaminated bag. "How long has it been infusing?" "About 40 minutes. Emily checked the pump, then Noah's temperature. Higher than before. She looked through the glass toward the private waiting room. Cole remained asleep in the chair, his head tilted against the wall. Emily lowered her voice. "Stop the infusion." The nurse turned. Caldwell ordered continuous nutrition. "Pause it." "Emily, we need authorization. His heart rate and temperature are rising together. Stop it now." The nurse hesitated only a second before pressing the control on the pump. The machine fell silent. Emily disconnected the line, capped it, and replaced the bag with a sealed emergency solution from the hospital supply. She watched Noah for 5 minutes. His heart rate remained high. 10 minutes later, it began to fall. The nurse looked at Emily. "You were right." Emily did not answer. She sealed the removed bag inside a medical evidence pouch. "Do not log this under contamination yet." The nurse's expression changed. "Why?" "Because we do not know who has access to the record." "What do you think is happening?" Emily looked at Noah. His small chest moved rapidly beneath the blanket. "I think someone changed what was inside that bag." The nurse stared at her. "That is impossible." "It should be." Emily called the toxicology laboratory from a private medication room. The phone rang 6 times before a tired voice answered. "Toxicology. Rachel." A pause followed. "Emily." Dr. Rachel Green sounded more awake now. "What are you doing at work at this hour? I need an emergency analysis. Send it through the normal lab channel." "I cannot." Rachel became silent. Emily leaned against the counter and lowered her voice. "I have 3 sealed samples. 2 are from nutritional bags connected to a premature infant with unexplained weight loss, fever, and cardiac strain. The 3rd is a control. Does the attending physician know no? Why not?" "Because his access code appears on the medication chain." Rachel exhaled slowly. "Emily, listen to what you are saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. If this is a documentation error, you could lose your license. If I am right, a baby could lose his life." The silence lasted longer this time. Then Rachel spoke. "Bring the samples to the lower laboratory. Use the service elevator. Do not enter through the main desk." Emily ended the call. She returned to Noah's room. The monitor had settled. His temperature remained elevated, but no longer climbed. Cole was awake. He stood outside the glass watching her. Emily could tell from his face that he had seen the removed bag. He entered the room without his guards. What happened? His heart rate rose after the overnight infusion. "You stopped it?" "Yes." "Why?" Emily glanced toward the other nurse. "Give us a moment." The nurse stepped away. Cole waited until the door closed. "What did you find?" Emily looked toward Noah. The bag currently attached to him had been tampered with. Cole's expression emptied. It was a dangerous kind of stillness. How a needle puncture behind the label. His eyes moved to the evidence pouch. "What was injected I do not know yet." Cole reached for the bag. Emily moved it out of his reach. His gaze lifted to hers. "Give it to me." "No." "That bag was connected to my son. And right now it is evidence." Cole stepped closer. "You think hospital policy will protect whoever did this? I think rage will warn them." His jaw tightened. "You expect me to do nothing. I expect you to let me find out what is inside it. And while you do that, You act normal. Cole gave a quiet, humorless laugh. My son is being poisoned and you want me to act normal. I want the person responsible to believe we still think this is a medical problem. Cole looked through the glass. Noah moved weakly beneath the blanket. The anger in Cole's face shifted into something more painful. Fear. It appeared only for a second, but Emily saw it. What if they try again? They will not use another bag until I inspect it. You cannot watch every door. No, but your men can. Cole looked back at her. Then I lock down the floor. If you change security now, they will know. Someone is inside this hospital trying to kill him. Yes. The word landed between them. Cole's hand moved toward the inside of his coat. Emily caught his wrist before he reached the weapon. His eyes dropped to her hand. Neither of them moved. You cannot shoot your way through this, she said. I have solved worse problems with less. This is not one of your streets. No, it is a hospital that allowed poison into my son's blood. Then help me prove it. Cole's stare remained fixed on her. Emily could feel the tension beneath his sleeve. His entire body seemed prepared to move to strike to make someone pay. She kept her grip firm. 1 hour, he said. I need more. You have one. Rachel may need time to identify the compound. Then she should work fast. Emily released his wrist. Cole did not reach for the gun again. She picked up the specimen pouch. Do not question anyone. I make no promises. Then Noah pays for your impatience. Cole looked at her sharply. Emily did not take back the words. After a long moment, he stepped aside. Go. The service elevator descended slowly. Emily stood alone beneath the dim ceiling light, holding the samples against her chest. At the 5th floor, the elevator stopped. The doors opened to an empty corridor. No one entered. Emily pressed the button again. The doors closed. For a moment, she had the strange sensation of being watched. When she reached the lower level, Rachel was waiting beside the laboratory entrance. She wore a white coat over dark blue scrubs. Her hair had been pulled into a loose knot. You look terrible, Rachel said. So do you. I was asleep. I remember sleep. Rachel took the specimen pouch. Tell me everything. Emily explained Noah's weight loss, the temperature changes, the heart rate spikes, and the pattern surrounding the overnight bags. She described the puncture marks and Caldwell's access code. Rachel listened without interrupting. When Emily finished, Rachel inspected the seals. You collected these correctly. I know. I had to ask. No, you did not. Rachel looked at her. You are still impossible. You answered the phone. That does not mean I like you. It means you missed me. Rachel almost smiled, then turned serious. If we find something, I have to report it. Not until we confirm it. Emily, give me one clean result and one repeat. Rachel stared at her for a moment. Fine. They entered the laboratory. The room was quiet except for ventilation fans and the low hum of equipment. Rows of machines stood beneath white light. Glass windows reflected their movements back at them. Rachel divided the samples. She began with a broad toxicology screen, then prepared a second test to identify unusual metabolic agents. Emily watched the clock. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Rachel studied the first results. Her expression changed. What Rachel did not answer. She ran the control sample again. The control appeared normal. She tested the first contaminated sample a second time. The same abnormal pattern returned. Rachel leaned closer to the screen. This cannot be right. Emily stepped beside her. What is it I need the confirmatory panel? She loaded another test. The machine processed the sample while both women stood in silence. Emily thought of Cole upstairs. 1 hour. She knew he would be counting every minute. The results appeared. Rachel stared at the screen. Dinitrophenol. Emily had heard the name before, but only in old military toxicology training. DNP. Rachel nodded. It is an industrial compound. It disrupts the way cells produce usable energy. Instead of storing calories, the body releases much of that energy as heat. Emily looked at the numbers. That explains the fever. And the heart strain, the calorie loss, the organ stress. How much is in the bag? Not enough to kill an adult immediately. But repeated doses in a premature infant would be devastating. Emily felt cold despite the warm laboratory. Could it look like malabsorption? Exactly like it, especially if the dose was controlled. Rachel removed her glasses. Whoever did this understood neonatal metabolism. Emily thought of Caldwell, his calm voice, his polished coat, the way he had dismissed every question. How long could Noah survive? Rachel looked at her. If the exposure continues, not long. How long, I cannot give you an exact answer. Rachel, a day, maybe 2. Less if his organs are already failing. Emily looked toward the door. I need a printed report. Rachel touched her arm. You need security. I have security. You have armed criminals upstairs. I have a child upstairs. That is not the same thing. Emily met her eyes. Tonight it is. Rachel printed the report and sealed the remaining samples. I am keeping 1 copy here. Good. And I am sending a digital copy to an off-site server. Better. Rachel handed Emily the report. Do not confront anyone alone. Emily folded the paper and slid it beneath her clipboard. I will not. Rachel knew her too well. That was a lie. Emily left the laboratory before Rachel could stop her. She avoided the elevator and took the service stairs. The stairwell smelled of concrete dust and cleaning fluid. Her footsteps echoed as she climbed. At the 4th floor, she heard voices above. She slowed. The sound came from the landing between the 5th and 6th floors. A man spoke softly. You told me the increase would finish it? Emily stopped. She knew the voice. Grant Maddox. She moved closer to the wall and climbed 1 step at a time. Caldwell answered. I told you an increase would raise suspicion. You have had 3 weeks. The child is premature. His doctors already expect instability. Then why is he still alive? Emily reached the lower edge of the landing and remained hidden beneath the stairs. Grant stood with his back to the railing. Caldwell faced him. Neither man could see her. Caldwell kept his voice low. Because Nurse Carter stopped the last infusion. Grant's expression hardened. Why she noticed the heart rate change. Does she suspect anything? She asks too many questions. Grant stepped closer. Then stop her from asking. Caldwell looked toward the stairwell door. This was supposed to be simple. It was supposed to end under the bridge. Emily felt the blood drain from her face. Caldwell lowered his voice. Do not talk about that here. My cousin's wife was meant to die with the child inside her. You promised me the hospital would finish what the bomb did not. The words struck Emily with physical force. Grant had arranged the explosion. Olivia's death had not been retaliation from a rival crew. It had been an attack from inside Cole's own family. Emily slowly removed her phone from her pocket and activated the recorder. Caldwell spoke again. The dosage is working. The child's weight is collapsing. His kidneys are already under stress. Then increase it tonight. I cannot. Another sharp decline will trigger toxicology screening. Grant smiled without warmth. You told me no one screens for this. No one does unless they are looking for it. And is Nurse Carter looking? Caldwell did not answer quickly enough. Grant saw the truth. What did she find? I do not know. You said she stopped the infusion. She noticed a pattern. Grant stepped closer until only inches separated them. I paid you $500,000. You promised $2 million. You receive the rest when the child is dead, and Cole steps aside. Caldwell's face tightened. And if he does not, he will. You sound certain. Grant looked toward the dark window in the stairwell door. Cole buried his wife 3 days ago. He has not left that hospital. The captains are already questioning whether grief has made him weak. He is still dangerous, only while he believes there is something left to protect. Emily held the phone steady. Grant continued. When the child dies, Cole loses the last piece of Olivia. He will either break or burn the city down. Either way, the family will need a new leader, and you believe they will choose you. They will choose survival. Caldwell looked uneasy. You have no idea what he will do if he learns the truth. Grant's expression remained calm. That is why he cannot learn it. A sound came from below. The heavy stairwell door closed on the 4th floor. Both men turned. Emily froze. Footsteps began climbing. A maintenance worker appeared 2 floors below, pushing through the door with a ring of keys. Grant looked down the stairwell. Emily slipped backward beneath the stairs and pressed herself into the narrow space beside a utility cabinet. The worker climbed slowly, humming under his breath. Grant waited until the man passed. Caldwell lowered his voice. I want the remaining money transferred tonight. You will get it when I see a death certificate. I am taking all the risk. Grant smiled. No, doctor. A child is taking the risk. You are collecting money. Caldwell's face went pale. Grant stepped toward the upper door. Fix the problem. He left the stairwell. Caldwell remained on the landing for several seconds. Then he began climbing toward the 7th floor. Emily waited until his footsteps faded. She looked at the recording. The phone had captured enough. Not everything, but enough to destroy any illusion that Grant was innocent. She moved quickly down one flight, crossed through the 6th floor corridor, and used another stairwell to reach the 7th floor. The moment she entered the NICU wing, she saw Caldwell. He stood at the far end of the hall speaking to a nurse. His coat was straight. His expression was calm. Nothing about him suggested he had just discussed the murder of a woman and her child. Emily lowered her head and continued walking. Caldwell noticed her. Their eyes met across the corridor. For 1 second, neither moved. Then Emily entered Noah's room. Cole stood beside the incubator. His men remained outside. You took longer than an hour, he said. Emily closed the door. I found the poison. Cole's face changed. What is it? A compound called dinitrophenol. It forces the body to burn through calories and release energy as heat. That is why Noah keeps losing weight. That is why his temperature rises after the overnight bags. Cole stared at the report. Who put it there? Emily looked toward the hallway. Caldwell stood at the nurse's station, watching them. I know who had access. Cole followed her gaze. His eyes settled on Caldwell. Emily stepped in front of him. Do not move. Get out of my way. Grant is involved. Cole stopped. The name seemed to empty the air from the room. What did you say? Emily removed her phone. I heard them in the stairwell. Cole did not reach for it. He only stared at her. Grant. He paid Caldwell. The poison was meant to finish what the bomb started. Cole's face became unreadable. For several seconds he did not blink. Then he took the phone from her hand and listened to the recording. Grant's voice filled the small room. The child was supposed to die under the bridge. The captains were already questioning Cole. The family would need a new leader. Cole listened without moving. When the recording ended, he pressed replay. Emily watched the muscles tighten along his jaw. He listened a second time. Then he placed the phone on the counter with extraordinary care. My cousin stood beside me when I buried her. Emily said nothing. He carried her casket. His voice sounded distant. He held my son's hand yesterday. The grief in his face hardened into something colder. Cole turned toward the door. Emily caught his arm. You cannot go after him yet. He looked down at her hand. Do not tell me what I can do. If you confront Grant with that recording, he will say Caldwell acted alone. I heard his voice. You heard part of a conversation. You need the money trail, the access records, and a complete confession. I need Grant in front of me. And then what? Cole's eyes darkened. You know what? Emily stepped closer. If you kill him now, half your organization may believe you murdered your own cousin during a breakdown. I do not care what they believe. You will when they start fighting over your son's future. Cole looked through the glass at Noah. His breathing slowed, but the rage did not leave him. Emily lowered her voice. Grant did not only attack Noah, he attacked your authority. He expects you to lose control. Cole looked back at her. You think this is about control? I think he built the entire plan around your grief. A long silence passed. Then Cole glanced toward Caldwell. The doctor was no longer at the nurse's station. Emily followed his gaze. The corridor stood empty. Her heartbeat changed. She looked toward the medication room. The door was partly open. He knows, she said. Cole reached beneath his coat. Emily moved toward the corridor. Stay with Noah. Cole caught her wrist. You are not going alone. If Caldwell sees your men, he runs. He is not leaving this building. You said that about everyone on this floor, and he still poisoned your son. The truth struck hard. Cole released her. Emily crossed the hall toward the medication corridor. She could feel Caldwell somewhere nearby. The lights above the supply rooms hummed softly. One door stood open. She entered. Shelves of sterile equipment rose on both sides. Boxes of syringes, dressings, tubing, and sealed instruments filled the narrow space. The room appeared empty. Emily stepped farther inside. The door closed behind her. She turned. Caldwell stood between her and the exit. He locked the door. His eyes moved to the toxicology report in her hand. The calm physician was gone. You should have listened when I told you to do your job. Emily kept her voice steady. I did. Caldwell reached into his coat. He removed a syringe. The liquid inside was clear. What is that? Something the pathologist will mistake for sudden cardiac failure. Emily looked at the needle, then at Caldwell's grip. Too tight. His hand shook. You are afraid. Caldwell gave a breathless laugh. Of you? Of Grant? Of Cole? Of prison? Maybe of yourself. Put the report on the floor. Emily did not move. Put it down. You poisoned a baby because you wanted money. You know nothing about what Grant threatened. You still made the choice. Caldwell stepped closer. You think Cole Maddox will protect you after this? I am not counting on him. You should be. Emily shifted her weight slightly. Caldwell noticed. Do not. She raised both hands slowly. Beneath the collar of her scrubs, a pair of worn military identification tags touched her skin. Caldwell saw only a nurse standing between metal shelves. He did not see the desert nights. He did not hear the helicopter blades. He did not know how many times Emily had worked with blood on her hands while the world exploded around her. He lifted the syringe toward her neck. Emily watched his shoulder. Not the needle, not his eyes. The shoulder moved first. Caldwell lunged. Emily turned before the needle reached her throat. Her left hand caught his wrist. Her right palm drove into the inside of his forearm with a sharp, controlled strike. Bone struck metal shelving. The syringe slipped from his fingers and bounced across the floor. Caldwell cried out, more shocked than injured. Emily stepped inside his reach and twisted his arm downward. He reacted faster than she expected. His free hand closed around her throat and forced her backward into the shelves. Boxes of sterile tubing fell around them. One struck the floor and burst open. Caldwell pushed harder. "You should have minded your own business." Emily felt his thumb press beneath her jaw. Her vision narrowed. She did not pull away. Pulling would give him leverage. Instead, she stepped closer. Her knee drove into the outside of his leg. His balance broke. She turned her hips, caught his elbow, and sent him shoulder first into the steel shelf. He gasped. Emily grabbed the front of his coat and pulled him down as she moved behind him. His body struck the floor. Before he could roll, she placed one knee between his shoulder blades and trapped his arm against his back. Caldwell struggled beneath her. "Get off me." Emily reached for a plastic restraint from an open supply box. "You tried to kill a nurse inside a locked hospital room. You have no idea what you are doing." She secured one wrist. "I know exactly what I am doing." Caldwell pushed upward with surprising strength. Emily shifted her weight, but his hand caught the edge of a metal tray and dragged it toward them. The tray struck her across the mouth. Pain flashed through her face. Her grip loosened. Caldwell rolled, knocking her sideways. He scrambled toward the fallen syringe. Emily saw his fingers close around it. He turned with the needle raised. She kicked his wrist. The syringe flew beneath a cabinet. Caldwell came at her with both hands. Emily stepped back, caught his sleeve, and used his momentum to drive him into the wall. The impact shook the room. A silent light began blinking above the door. Neither of them noticed. Caldwell grabbed a glass container from the shelf and swung it toward her head. Emily raised her forearm. The container shattered against her arm. Clear fluid spilled across the floor. She struck Caldwell once beneath the ribs. Air left him in a broken sound. Then she struck his jaw. He collapsed against the shelves. Emily caught him before he reached the floor and lowered him hard onto his stomach. She pulled his arms behind him and secured both wrists with the plastic restraint. For several seconds, the only sound in the room was their breathing. Emily remained over him. Blood touched her lower lip. Caldwell turned his face against the floor. "Grant will kill you." Emily wiped the blood away with the back of her hand. "He may try. You think Cole will save you?" "I did not ask him to." Caldwell laughed weakly. "You are already dead. You just do not know it." Emily leaned closer. "You poisoned a child who could not even lift his own head." Her voice stayed calm. "That is the last mistake you made as a free man." A violent impact struck the door. Caldwell froze. Another impact followed. The lock split. The door burst inward. Cole entered first. Two of his men followed with their guns raised. Cole took in the room without speaking. The broken glass, the fallen medical supplies, the syringe beneath the cabinet, Emily kneeling over Caldwell, the blood on her mouth. Something changed in Cole's face. His expression did not become angry. It became empty. That emptiness was worse. One of his men moved toward Caldwell. Cole raised one hand. The man stopped. Cole crossed the room slowly. His eyes remained on the bruise forming beneath Emily's jaw. "Did he touch you?" Emily stood. "I handled it." Cole looked down at Caldwell. "That was not my question." Caldwell tried to speak. "Mr. Maddox, I can explain." Cole drew his pistol. He pressed the barrel against the back of Caldwell's head. The doctor stopped breathing. Emily stepped between them. "Move," Cole said. "No." His eyes lifted to hers. "Emily, if you shoot him now, Grant controls the story." Cole's voice fell lower. "Grant murdered my wife, and Caldwell can prove it. I heard the recording. You heard enough to know Grant is involved. You did not hear enough to convince every captain who depends on him." Cole tightened his grip on the gun. "I do not need their permission. You need their loyalty." His stare sharpened. "My son is dying. Which is why you cannot turn this floor into a crime scene before we know how much poison he received. Cole looked toward the door. Noah's room stood only a short distance away. Emily saw the conflict move through him. Rage pulled him in one direction. Fear pulled him in another. She placed her hand over the gun. "Look at me." Cole did not. "Cole." His eyes met hers. "Grant expects you to lose control," she said. "He built everything around that expectation. Olivia's death, Noah's poisoning, the pressure on your organization. He wants your men to see a grieving man who cannot lead." Cole's breathing remained measured, but a vein moved near his temple. "He stood beside me at her funeral." "I know." He carried her casket. Emily kept her hand on the weapon. "I know. He held Noah yesterday." His voice cracked on the child's name. For 1 second, the feared leader of the Maddox family disappeared. Only the husband remained. Only the father. Emily softened her tone. "Then do not give Grant the ending he planned for you." Cole looked at Caldwell. The doctor lay completely still. One of Cole's men spoke from the doorway. "Boss, the silent alarm brought us here. Security cameras on this corridor went dark 30 seconds before we arrived." Emily glanced at the blinking light above the door. She had reached the emergency switch before Caldwell caught her wrist. Cole lowered the gun. Not because the anger had passed, because Emily had asked him to. He stepped back. "Pick him up." The 2 men lifted Caldwell from the floor. He cried out when they touched his injured arm. Cole showed no reaction. They placed the doctor in a chair and secured him with additional restraints. One man searched his coat and removed a second syringe, a hospital access card, and a small phone. Emily picked up the toxicology report. Cole stood directly in front of Caldwell. What was in the syringe? Caldwell looked at Emily. Cole caught his chin and forced his face forward. "Do not look at her." Caldwell swallowed. "Potassium chloride." One of the guards cursed under his breath. Emily examined the label. "In the right amount, it can stop the heart." Cole's thumb pressed into Caldwell's jaw. "And you plan to call it natural?" Caldwell said nothing. Cole released him. "Bring him to the consultation room." They moved through the corridor without attracting attention. Cole's men formed a wall around Caldwell, hiding his restraints from passing staff. Emily returned briefly to Noah. His monitor showed a rapid but steady rhythm. The clean emergency solution continued through the IV line. The nurse beside him looked at Emily's face. "What happened?" "I fell into a shelf." The nurse looked toward the men surrounding Caldwell. That must have been an aggressive shelf. Emily checked Noah's temperature, still elevated. She touched his foot through the incubator port. His skin felt too warm. "Call Rachel Green. Tell her I need her upstairs now." "What should I say?" "Tell her the exposure has been confirmed." The nurse nodded. Emily left Noah only after another nurse took her place. The consultation room had no windows. Cole stood at the far end beside a dark conference table. Caldwell sat under the ceiling light. His injured arm rested awkwardly against his chest. A small recorder had been placed in front of him. Emily entered and closed the door. Cole looked at her split lip. "You need a doctor." "I had one." Caldwell looked away. Cole did not smile, but something moved briefly in his eyes. Emily placed the toxicology report on the table. Rachel kept a sealed copy of every sample. The digital results were sent off-site. Caldwell's shoulders fell. "You cannot erase them," Emily said. Cole turned on the recorder. A small red light appeared. "State your full name." Caldwell stared at the device. Cole rested both hands on the table. "State your name." "Henry James Caldwell." "Your position." "Chief of Neonatology at Liberty Children's Medical Center." Cole looked at Emily. She took the chair across from Caldwell. "When did Grant Maddox first approach you?" Caldwell pressed his lips together. Cole pulled out the chair beside him and sat. His calm now felt more dangerous than the gun. "You tried to put poison into my child," he said. "Then you tried to put a needle into her neck. I am offering you the only useful minutes left in your life." Caldwell looked at the door. "There's nowhere to go," Emily said. His face had lost all color. "8 months ago," he whispered. Cole did not move. Emily leaned forward. "Speak clearly. Grant approached me 8 months ago." Why he knew about the money. What money? Caldwell closed his eyes. "I had invested through a private medical fund. The fund was fraudulent. I used money from hospital accounts to cover the losses." "How much?" "Almost $3 million. Emily looked at Cole. Caldwell continued. "Grant obtained the records. He said he could keep the hospital board and federal investigators from discovering what I had done, in exchange for what Emily asked. At first, information. What kind of information? Olivia Maddox's medical schedule, her appointments, her delivery plan, the security procedures at the hospital." Cole's hand closed into a fist on the table. Emily kept her eyes on Caldwell. "Did you know why he wanted the information?" "Not at first." Cole spoke quietly. "You are lying." Caldwell looked at him. "I suspected. You knew." Caldwell's breathing quickened. "I knew he wanted access to her movements." Cole leaned closer. "And you gave it to him?" "Yes." The word barely carried across the room. Emily continued before Cole could respond. "Who arranged the explosion? Grant hired a Baltimore crew. He used an intermediary named Victor Sloan." Cole's expression changed at the name. "You know him?" Emily asked. "He handles explosives for anyone with enough money." Caldwell nodded. "Grant provided the route from the prenatal clinic. He told them to make it look like retaliation from the Karpov organization." "Was Olivia the only target?" Emily asked. Caldwell looked down. "No." Cole's chair moved against the floor. Emily turned toward him. He remained seated, but only because she was watching. Caldwell spoke quickly. "The child was supposed to die with her. Grant believed Cole would become unstable after losing both of them." Cole's voice sounded distant. He believed correctly. Emily looked at him. Cole stared at the recorder. Then he raised his eyes to Caldwell. "What happened when Noah survived?" "Grant called me that night. He said the problem had moved into my hospital." "What did he ask you to do?" "Make the child's death look natural." Emily placed the contaminated bag on the table inside its evidence pouch. "How did you choose DNP?" Caldwell looked at the bag. "It causes rapid energy loss, fever, cardiac stress, organ failure. In a premature infant, the symptoms could be blamed on metabolic complications." "How much did you use microdoses?" "Enough to cause a steady decline without producing an immediate crisis." "How many bags?" Caldwell hesitated. Cole reached for the gun on the table. 7, Caldwell said. Emily felt the word like a blow. 7 bags, yes. Over how many days? 11. Were all of them overnight bags? Most of them. Why? The night staff changed more often. It made the pattern harder to notice. Emily thought of the charts, the temperature spikes, the weight falling before sunrise. "You altered Noah's records." Caldwell nodded. "I adjusted several laboratory values. I delayed a toxicology consultation. I removed references to the temperature pattern from the physician's summary. You also deleted camera footage. I used the administrative override. How did you tamper with the bags without breaking the pharmacy seal I injected through the rear label after delivery? Then I covered the puncture with surgical adhesive." Cole's eyes moved to the evidence pouch. The method had been simple. That simplicity made it more horrifying. Emily asked, "How much did Grant pay you $500,000? and the remaining amount, $1.5 million, after Noah's death. Through what accounts, Caldwell gave the names of 2 shell companies and a private account in the Cayman Islands. Cole's security chief wrote everything down. "Where are the records?" Emily asked. "On the phone you took from me. The messages are stored in an encrypted application." Cole looked toward his man. "Copy everything. Send it to 3 locations." The man left with the phone. Emily continued. "What was Grant's plan after Noah died? He expected Cole to step away from daily leadership. And if he did not?" Caldwell's eyes moved toward Cole. Grant believed grief would make him reckless. He planned to call a meeting of the captains and argue that the family needed stable leadership. Cole leaned back. "So he was going to use my wife's funeral and my son's death as a campaign." Caldwell did not answer. Cole reached forward and turned off the recorder. Emily touched his wrist. "We need him to identify the financial records after they're copied." Cole looked at her hand. Then he turned the recorder back on. "Continue." The interrogation lasted another 40 minutes. Caldwell described every meeting, every payment, and every alteration made to Noah's treatment. He identified 2 hospital employees whose access codes he had used without their knowledge. He gave the name of the courier who moved cash between Grant and the shell companies. When he finished, his voice had become thin. Emily stopped the recording. "Take him somewhere secure," Cole said. His men lifted Caldwell. The doctor looked at Emily. "You think he is different from Grant Cole's guards?" Stopped. Caldwell continued. "They both solve problems the same way. Grant just hides it better." Emily held his gaze. "The difference is that Cole stopped when I asked him to." Caldwell gave a tired laugh. "For now." Cole's face hardened. Emily opened the door. "Get him out." The men took Caldwell through a private corridor to an unused administrative office under guard. Cole remained in the consultation room. Emily gathered the reports. When she turned, he was staring at Olivia's ring in his palm. "I should have known," he said. Emily stopped. "He was my cousin. You trusted him. I trusted no one else the way I trusted him. That is why he could get close." Cole closed his fingers around the ring. "Olivia warned me." Emily waited. She said Grant watched me like a man waiting for a chair to become empty. I told her he was family. You could not know how far he would go. Cole looked at her. "That is something people say when they want to make grief easier. I am not trying to make it easier." "Good." His voice carried no anger toward her, only exhaustion. Emily stepped closer. "Noah needs you." Cole looked toward the door. "He needs a doctor who did not poison him. Rachel is coming. I am replacing every bag. We are checking his blood for the concentration of the compound." Cole stood. "Tell me the truth. I have." "No. Tell me if he is going to live." Emily held the reports against her chest. "I do not know." Cole's expression tightened. She continued. "He has been exposed repeatedly. His heart and kidneys are under stress. We found the source before complete organ failure, but he is still critically ill." Cole looked down. Emily moved closer. "He has a chance. How much of one I cannot turn him into a percentage for you. I need something." Emily looked through the narrow window in the door. Noah's monitor was visible across the corridor. "Then take this. His heart is still fighting. His lungs are still working. His kidneys have not shut down. We removed the poison." Cole followed her gaze. "That is enough. It has to be enough for this hour." They returned to Noah. Rachel arrived with 2 laboratory technicians and a sealed transport case. She ignored Cole's men and went directly to the incubator. "We need blood samples and a full metabolic panel," she said. "We also need cooling support and careful fluid replacement." Emily joined her. Cole stood near the wall, forced to watch while others worked. The contaminated line was removed. Every medication was replaced. Fresh nutrition was mixed under direct observation in the pharmacy, sealed inside tamper-resistant packaging, and carried upstairs by 2 technicians with Cole's security following behind. Noah's temperature fell slowly. His heart rhythm remained irregular for several minutes, then settled into a faster but more stable pattern. Emily stayed beside him. Cole did not leave the room. At one point, Noah's oxygen level dropped. The alarm sounded. Cole stepped forward. Emily raised a hand without looking at him. "Stay where you are." Rachel adjusted the respiratory support. Emily checked the line. The number rose again. Cole remained frozen until the alarm stopped. When the room became quiet, he spoke. "You ordered me to stay back." "Yes, no one does that." Emily looked at him. "You keep saying that like it has helped you." Rachel glanced between them, but wisely said nothing. Near dawn, the first new results arrived. Noah's kidneys were stressed but still functioning. His liver showed injury, though not irreversible failure. The toxic compound remained in his blood, but the level had begun to fall. Rachel removed her gloves. "He is not safe yet." Cole's eyes remained on Noah. But removing the exposure when you did may have saved him." Emily leaned against the counter for the first time all night. The pain in her mouth had become a steady throb. Cole noticed. "Sit down. I'm fine. You are bleeding." It stopped. "Emily." She looked at him. His voice was quiet. Not an order, a request. She sat. Cole brought a clean cloth from the sink and held it out. Emily took it. Their fingers touched. Neither pulled away immediately. Rachel cleared her throat. "I need to review the next set of results." She left the room. Cole stood beside Emily. "I owe you more than I can repay. You do not owe me anything. You saved my son. We are still saving him. You saved him before anyone else believed there was something to find." Emily pressed the cloth to her lip. "I noticed a pattern. You stood between me and a loaded gun. You were holding the gun. That was the loaded part." A tired smile touched her face. Cole saw it. The tension in his shoulders eased slightly. Then his phone vibrated. He checked the message. His security chief had copied Caldwell's records. The payments and messages were real. Grant's involvement was documented, but not completely. Several communications used coded language. The most damaging evidence remained Caldwell's confession and Emily's partial recording. Cole placed the phone on the counter. "Grant will be at the hospital by 8. "Why?" "He comes every morning before meeting the captains." Emily looked at the clock. It was almost 5:30. He cannot know Caldwell is missing. He will notice. Not if Caldwell speaks to him first. Cole understood. "You want the doctor to continue the plan. I want Grant to believe it succeeded." Cole stared at her. "No. If he thinks Noah is alive, he disappears. No. If he thinks Caldwell confessed, he destroys everything. You are talking about using my son as bait. I am talking about using Grant's certainty against him." Cole stepped away. "My son is not a weapon. Then do not treat him like one. Keep him safe and let Grant believe his own plan worked." Cole looked through the incubator glass. Noah lay beneath a warm blue blanket, his breathing assisted by the machine. Emily lowered her voice. "Grant wants 2 things. He wants Noah dead, and he wants you broken in front of your captains. Give him the picture he expects." Cole turned back. "You want me to announce that my son died?" "Yes." The word hurt him. Emily saw it. "He will move quickly," she said. "A man who has waited years for power will not waste the moment when he thinks it is finally his." Cole remained silent. "We summoned the captains," Emily continued. "Caldwell reports the death. You let Grant believe grief has made you step away. He reveals what he wants in front of the men whose loyalty he needs. And Noah. We move him to the pediatric procedure suite under a protected patient number. Rachel stays with him. Only your most trusted men know. Cole looked at her for a long time. What if his condition changes? I stay close enough to reach him. You would leave him during the meeting, for minutes. No. Then Rachel stays with him while I carry him in when Grant commits himself. Cole's expression sharpened. Carry him where? Into the room. He is too fragile. Not if we use the portable monitor and keep the distance short. We only do it if Rachel clears him. Cole ran one hand over his face. You planned all of this while standing beside an incubator. I planned it while Caldwell was explaining how Grant intended to take your organization. What kind of nurse are you? The kind who does not like unfinished work. Cole looked toward Noah again. You believe Grant will confess he may not confess to the poisoning. He does not need to. He only needs to expose his ambition before the captains hear Caldwell's recording. Cole considered the structure of the trap. The political value, the emotional cost. Finally, he nodded once. Only 5 people know Noah is alive. Agreed. Rachel remains with him. Agreed. If his condition changes, the meeting ends. Yes. If Grant comes near this floor before we are ready, my men take him. Emily nodded. Cole stepped closer. And you do not leave my sight. That is not necessary. It is to me. Emily looked up at him. You do understand that I am not one of your soldiers? No. Good. You are more difficult. Despite everything, she almost laughed. Cole held her gaze. For a moment, the hospital disappeared around them. There was only the space between them, the fear they had shared, the trust neither had intended to give. Cole reached toward her face, then stopped before touching the bruise along her jaw. His hand remained suspended. Emily did not move away. His thumb brushed the uninjured side of her cheek. The contact was careful, almost uncertain. I should have reached that room sooner, he said. You reached it when I needed you. You had already won. I had not opened the door. A faint breath of amusement left him. Then Noah made a soft sound inside the incubator. Cole turned immediately. Emily saw the answer in that movement. Whatever existed between them had to wait behind the child. That was where it belonged. At 6:40, Caldwell was brought back to the consultation room. His arm had been placed in a temporary splint. His face had lost all resistance. Cole stood before him. You are going to return to the NICU. Caldwell stared. You will tell Grant that Noah died from organ failure at 7 this morning. Caldwell shook his head. He will know. He will believe what he wants to believe, Emily said. And if I refuse, Cole's voice remained calm. Then Grant learns you failed. Decide which of us frightens you more. Caldwell looked between them. What happens to me after? Emily answered. You remain alive long enough to testify. Caldwell gave a bitter smile. That is supposed to comfort me, no. Cole placed the prepared statement on the table. Read it. Caldwell picked up the paper with his uninjured hand. His voice shook during the first attempt. Cole made him begin again. By the 4th reading, he sounded like a physician delivering terrible news. Rachel moved Noah under a protected registration number. 2 trusted guards accompanied the transport through a service corridor. No one else saw the child leave the NICU. The empty incubator remained behind a privacy screen. Emily adjusted the monitor display so the room appeared closed after an emergency. Cole's captains began arriving before 7. They entered through the private elevator in dark suits and silent concern. Some had served the Maddox family for decades. Others had risen under Cole. Grant arrived last. He carried 2 cups of coffee. He gave one to Cole. Cole accepted it. Their eyes met. Grant placed a hand on his shoulder. "How is he?" Cole looked toward the closed NICU doors. "Still fighting." Grant nodded solemnly. "He gets that from you." The words nearly broke Cole's control. Emily watched from the nurse's station. Cole did not look at her. He walked into the private waiting room with Grant beside him. The captains followed. At exactly 7, the emergency alarm sounded. Staff rushed toward Noah's former room. The doors closed behind them. For 12 minutes, the 7th floor became a carefully controlled storm of footsteps, commands, and alarms. Then the sound stopped. Silence returned. Caldwell emerged from the NICU. His face was pale. His white coat hung unevenly over the splint beneath his sleeve. He entered the waiting room. Cole stood near the window with his back to everyone. Grant watched Caldwell closely. The doctor lowered his head. "Mr. Maddox." Cole turned. Caldwell swallowed. "I am sorry." No one moved. "We could not save your son." Cole stared at him. For a heartbeat, the performance became real. He saw Olivia beneath the rain. He heard the surgeon say he was sorry. He imagined the incubator empty. A sound rose from somewhere deep inside him. Cole seized the edge of the conference table and overturned it. Wood struck the floor. Coffee shattered against the wall. The captains stepped back. Cole dropped into a chair and covered his face with both hands. Grant remained still. Then slowly relief appeared in his eyes. It was there for less than a second. A slight easing around the mouth. A quiet breath through the nose. The almost invisible release of a man who had spent 3 weeks waiting for a door to open. Then sorrow returned to his face. Grant crossed the waiting room and lowered himself beside Cole. Cole. Cole remained bent forward with his face hidden behind both hands. Grant placed one palm against his cousin's shoulder. "I am so sorry." Cole did not answer. Around them, the senior captains of the Maddox organization stood in silence. They were men who had seen bodies pulled from rivers and friends buried beneath concrete. They had watched cities change, governments rise and fall, and entire crews disappear before breakfast. None of them knew what to say to a father who had lost his wife and child in the same month. Grant bowed his head. "You did everything you could." Cole's fingers tightened against his forehead. Behind the glass wall of the nurse's station, Emily watched him hold the performance together. The overturned table lay on its side. Coffee spread across the floor in a dark pool. Broken porcelain glittered beneath the fluorescent lights. Caldwell stood near the doorway. His face was pale. Sweat gathered at his hairline. One arm remained hidden beneath his coat where the splint pressed against his fractured wrist. Grant looked up at him. "Was he in pain?" Caldwell swallowed. "No, we kept him comfortable." Emily saw Cole's shoulders tense. Grant did not. He turned back toward his cousin and squeezed his shoulder. "He is with Olivia now." Cole lowered his hands. His eyes were red, but his voice remained quiet. "Do not say her name." Grant withdrew his hand. Of course. For another minute, no one spoke. Then Grant stood. He walked to the window overlooking the river. Morning light had begun to spread over Philadelphia. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed in gray. Traffic moved along the expressway. Boats cut slowly through the dark water. The world outside continued as if nothing had happened. Grant looked toward the captains. "Give him some space." One of the older men, Thomas Keene, remained near Cole. "I am not leaving him." Grant's expression softened. "No one is leaving the building. I am asking for a few minutes." Keene glanced at Cole. Cole stared at the floor. Grant spoke again. "There are matters that cannot wait." The room changed. It was subtle at first. A glance between two captains. A shift in posture. The smallest recognition that Grant had not gathered them only to mourn. Keene straightened. "A child died 10 minutes ago. and every enemy we have will know before noon." Grant's voice was calm, almost gentle. "The crews in Baltimore are already pressing the docks. The Russians have moved money through 3 accounts we believed were secure. 2 shipments vanished this week. Our people need direction." Cole did not look up. Grant continued, "I have handled what I could while Cole remained here, but temporary decisions are no longer enough." Keene's eyes narrowed. "Choose your words carefully." "I am." Grant returned to the center of the room. His dark suit fit perfectly. His hair remained neat. He looked like a man arriving for a board meeting rather than standing beside the wreckage of a family. "That is why I asked all of you to come." One captain glanced at the others. "You told us we were coming to support Cole." "You are." Grant looked toward his cousin. "Support does not always mean pretending nothing has changed." Cole remained silent. Emily stood behind the counter, one hand resting near the phone connected to Rachel's private room. The call had not come. Noah remained stable. For now. Grant moved slowly among the captains. "We have all followed Cole because he earned that loyalty. No one questions what he built. No one questions what he sacrificed." Keene watched him with open suspicion. Grant stopped beside the overturned table. "But leadership is not a crown a man wears until death. It is a responsibility. When a man can no longer carry it, someone else must." Cole raised his head. Only slightly. Grant saw the movement and lowered his voice. "Cole, you buried your wife 3 days ago. Now your son is gone. No one expects you to return to the streets and pretend you are whole." Cole looked at him. Grant offered the expression of a grieving brother. "You need time." "How much?" Cole asked. The question was quiet enough that several men leaned closer. Grant hesitated. "As much as you need. And while I take it, I keep the family stable." One of the younger captains, Marcus Bell, folded his arms. "You have already been doing that." Grant nodded. "Because Cole asked me to." Cole's gaze remained fixed on him. "I asked you to manage operations." "And I did." "You did not ask me before calling this meeting." Grant looked around the room. "I called men who deserved to know the truth before our enemies told them." The truth being what Grant's expression tightened with practiced concern. "That you are in no condition to lead." Silence settled over the waiting room. Keene stepped forward. "You do not declare that in a hospital." Grant faced him. "Would you prefer I wait until another crew takes the riverfront?" "This is not your decision." "No, it belongs to all of us." He looked from one captain to the next. Some held his gaze. Others looked toward Cole. Grant saw uncertainty and pressed harder. "The organization cannot survive without a clear chain of command. Our legitimate companies are under federal review. The South warehouses have gone 3 days without protection. 2 political contacts are refusing calls because they believe Cole has disappeared." Cole rose from the chair. Grant stopped speaking. The room seemed to contract around them. Cole straightened his jacket. His face still carried grief, but the broken posture was gone. "Who told them I disappeared?" Grant studied him. "No one had to." "That was not my question." "I do not know." Cole stepped over the broken pieces of the coffee cup. "You always know." Grant's voice remained steady. "I have been protecting your interests, my interests, our interests." Cole walked closer. Grant did not retreat. They stood facing each other in the middle of the waiting room, 2 men raised beneath the same roof, trained by the same family, and shaped by different kinds of hunger. Grant lowered his voice. "This is not an attack." Cole looked toward the captains. "What does it sound like to you?" No one answered immediately. Marcus Bell finally spoke. It sounds like a transition. Keene turned on him. It sounds like treason. Grant raised one hand. No one is betraying anyone. Keene gave a bitter laugh. You waited 10 minutes after the boy died. Grant's face sharpened. I waited years while Cole made decisions based on emotion. Cole moved closer. Name one. Grant met his eyes. Olivia. The word struck the room. Caldwell looked down. Emily stopped breathing. Grant continued before anyone could respond. You changed shipping routes because she disliked the violence near your home. You refused alliances because she questioned the men offering them. You moved money into hospitals, schools, and charities while our own crews fought over territory. Cole stared at him. You think helping children weakened us? I think pretending we were something other than what we are made us vulnerable? Keene stepped forward. Olivia had more sense than half the men in this room. Grant ignored him. He kept his attention on Cole. You built this family with discipline. Then you met her, and every decision became about creating a life that did not exist. Cole's voice dropped. It existed for me. And now, it is gone. Cole's hand curled at his side. Emily watched the distance between them. 3 steps. Close enough for a gun. Close enough for a knife. Close enough for grief to choose violence before reason could speak. Grant looked at the captains. I am not asking anyone to dishonor Cole. I am asking you to protect what he built until he can think clearly. Marcus Bell nodded once. Another captain followed. Grant saw it. He removed his coat and placed it carefully over the back of a chair. For the stability of the Maddox organization, I am assuming operational control effective immediately. Keene reached inside his jacket. Grant's men near the door shifted. Cole raised one hand. Everyone stopped. Grant looked at him. You know this is necessary. Cole's expression became strangely calm. You always did move too early. Grant's confidence flickered. What Cole turned toward the waiting room door. Emily. The door opened. Emily entered carrying Noah against her chest. A warm blue blanket covered most of his body. A portable monitor hung from a strap at her side. Thin wires disappeared beneath the blanket, and a clear line ran toward a small infusion pump secured to the carrier. Noah's face was pale. His breathing remained shallow. But he was alive. The monitor gave a quiet, steady sound. Beep, beep, beep. No one in the room moved. Grant stared at the child. The blood drained from his face so quickly that his skin seemed gray. Caldwell closed his eyes. Emily crossed the room without looking at either of them. She went directly to Cole. His attention shifted completely to Noah. The ruthless leader vanished from his face. Cole reached out with both hands, then stopped. Is he stable? For the moment. Emily adjusted the blanket. He needs to remain warm. Keep one hand behind his head. Cole took his son with extraordinary care. Noah stirred against his chest. A tiny sound escaped him. Cole closed his eyes. His mouth touched the child's forehead. Around them, armed men stood in stunned silence. Grant finally found his voice. What is this? Cole opened his eyes. This is my son. Caldwell said he died. He said what I told him to say. Grant turned toward the doctor. Caldwell looked at the floor. Grant's voice rose. You lied to me. Caldwell did not answer. Grant looked back at Noah. That child should not be outside intensive care. Emily faced him. He is receiving continuous monitoring and respiratory support. Grant's eyes narrowed. You carried a critically ill infant into a room full of armed men. No, Emily said. I carried him to his father. The captains watched her. Some had never spoken to Emily. Others had seen her moving through the hospital with calm authority while their men occupied every hallway. Now they understood why Cole had listened when she spoke. Grant stepped backward. Cole held Noah against his chest with one arm and reached inside his jacket with the other. Grant froze. Cole did not draw a gun. He removed a small digital recorder. "What is that?" Cole pressed the button. Caldwell's voice filled the room. "My name is Henry James Caldwell. I am Chief of Neonatology at Liberty Children's Medical Center." The captains turned toward the doctor. The recording continued. Caldwell described the hospital accounts he had stolen from. He named the financial records Grant had used to control him. He explained how he gave Olivia's appointment schedule to Grant. Then came the bombing. Grant's face hardened. That confession was forced. Cole said nothing. The recording described the Baltimore explosives specialist. The false evidence planted to blame the Karpov organization. The plan to kill Olivia and her unborn child beneath the overpass. Keene looked at Grant. "You did that?" Grant shook his head. "He is lying." Caldwell's recorded voice continued. "After the child survived, Grant contacted me and ordered me to make the death appear natural." Emily watched the men absorb each detail. The poisoned nutrition bags, the altered medical records, the deleted security footage, the payments through offshore accounts, 7 contaminated infusions over 11 days. Noah moved against Cole's chest. Cole adjusted his hold without taking his eyes from Grant. The recording ended. Grant pointed at Caldwell. "He has stolen from the hospital for years. He would say anything to save himself." Cole removed Emily's phone from his pocket. "Then listen to yourself." He played the stairwell recording. Grant's voice entered the room. The child was supposed to die under the bridge. The captains did not move. The sentence played in the same smooth voice that had comforted Cole after Olivia's death. Caldwell's response followed. Grant had promised $2 million. The child's decline was weakening Cole. The family would need new leadership. The recording ended with Grant saying the captains would choose survival. Cole stopped the audio. No one spoke. A river of cold morning light filled the room. Grant looked around at the men he had expected to lead. Keene's face held disgust. Marcus Bell looked away. Another captain slowly opened his jacket and removed his weapon. He pointed it toward Grant. Grant stared at him. "You believe this?" The captain's voice was quiet. "I believe your voice." Grant looked toward Marcus. "You know the accounts were failing." Marcus did not answer. "I kept your crews paid when Cole would not take your calls." Marcus slowly drew his gun. He aimed it at Grant. One by one, the other captains followed. Grant stood in the center of the room with 6 weapons pointed at him. His eyes moved toward his coat. The gun remained inside it. "Do not," Keene said. Grant's hand stopped. Cole passed Noah back to Emily. She took the child, carefully keeping the monitor close. Cole stepped toward his cousin. Grant looked at him. For the first time, the fear was real. "You planned this." Cole stopped inches away. "You planned my wife's death." Grant's fear shifted into anger. "I planned to save this family. You put a bomb beneath her car. She was pulling you away from everything we built." Cole struck him. The blow sent Grant into the wall. 2 captains moved, but Keene raised a hand. No one interfered. Grant touched the blood at the corner of his mouth. Then he laughed. "You think she made you better?" Cole seized the front of his shirt. "She made me human. She made you weak." Cole drove him into the wall again. Grant's head struck the plaster. Noah made a small sound behind them. Emily adjusted the blanket and watched Cole. Grant saw her. Understanding appeared in his eyes. He smiled through the blood. "And now you found another one." Cole's grip tightened. Grant looked at Emily. A nurse with a wounded soldier's eyes. "Is that what you need now? Someone else to convince you that you are not a monster?" Emily did not respond. Grant turned back to Cole. "You are exactly what I am." "No. We learned from the same men. We buried the same bodies. We built the same empire. You killed a woman carrying a child." Grant's expression twisted. I removed an obstacle. Cole drew his pistol. Every man in the room became still. He placed the barrel beneath Grant's chin. Grant lifted his face. "Do it." Cole's finger rested near the trigger. Grant smiled. "Show them." Cole stared into the eyes of the man he had once called brother, the man who had shared his childhood room, the man who had stood beside him at his wedding, the man who had carried Olivia's coffin. "Do it," Grant whispered again. "Prove I was right." Behind Cole, Noah began to cry. The sound was weak, but it cut through the room. Cole closed his eyes. Emily did not tell him to lower the gun. She did not ask him to forgive. She simply stood there holding his son. Cole turned his head. He saw Noah's small face pressed against the blanket. He saw Emily's arms around him. He saw the bruise Caldwell had left along her jaw. Cole looked back at Grant. Then he lowered the weapon. Grant's smile disappeared. Cole stepped away. "You do not get to decide what kind of father I become." He looked toward Keene. "Take him alive." Grant's eyes widened. "No." Keene holstered his gun and seized Grant's arm. Two captains joined him. Grant fought against them. "Cole, listen to me." Cole turned away. "We are blood." Cole looked over his shoulder. "No. Olivia was my family. Noah is my family." His eyes moved briefly toward Emily. "And family protects what is innocent." Grant struggled harder. "You cannot hand me to these men. Half of them owe me." Marcus Bell stepped forward. "I did." He removed the ring Grant had given him after a promotion and dropped it onto the floor. "Not anymore." Grant looked at the captains. One by one, they refused his eyes. Keene tightened his grip. Grant's voice broke. "Cole." Cole picked up his coat from the chair and placed it over Emily's shoulders without looking away from his cousin. "Take him out." The men dragged Grant toward the private elevator. His shoes scraped across the floor. His voice echoed through the corridor as he called Cole's name. The elevator doors closed. Silence returned. Caldwell remained near the wall. His face had become almost transparent. Cole turned toward him. The doctor began speaking immediately. I cooperated. Emily moved between them. "You confessed after trying to kill me. I gave you everything. You gave us what we had already found." Caldwell looked at Cole. "You said I would remain alive." Cole's expression held no mercy. "I said you would remain alive long enough to testify." Caldwell's knees weakened. One of the guards caught his arm. Cole looked toward Emily. She knew what he was asking without words. He wanted Caldwell removed. He wanted control of the punishment. He wanted the man who poisoned Noah to disappear into a place where courts, lawyers, and hospital boards could never reach him. Emily shifted Noah higher against her chest. "No." Cole's jaw tightened. "He put poison into 7 bags. I know. He tried to kill you. I was there. He altered medical records. He may have harmed other children. That is why he cannot disappear." Cole stepped closer. A courtroom gives him a chance to lie. A grave gives the hospital a chance to hide. The captains watched them. Emily lowered her voice. "If you take him, Liberty Children's will call this one corrupt doctor and close the case. Every chart he touched must be reviewed. Every family deserves to know whether he put another child at risk." Cole looked at Caldwell. The doctor began to shake. Emily continued. "He needs to be seen. His crimes need names, dates, evidence, and witnesses. And if a judge releases him, then you let me be angry." Cole's eyes returned to hers. "That is not enough. It has to be." Noah's monitor changed rhythm. Emily immediately looked down. The number rose for several seconds, then settled. Cole watched her check the line. His anger did not vanish. It moved aside. He took the recorder from the table and placed it in Emily's hand. "Call whoever you trust." Emily nodded. She handed Noah to Cole and reached for the phone. He accepted his son without hesitation. This time, his hands did not shake. Emily called Rachel first. Then she contacted hospital security, federal investigators, and a medical crimes attorney Rachel trusted. Cole's men secured every exit without interfering with the arrest. 20 minutes later, federal agents arrived on the 7th floor. They placed Caldwell in restraints. He looked toward Cole as they led him away. Cole stood beside Noah's empty incubator, holding the child close. Caldwell lowered his eyes. The agents took him through the service corridor. When the doors closed, the room finally became quiet. The captains left one at a time. Keene stopped beside Cole. "I should have seen Grant moving against you." Cole looked down at Noah. "So should I. You trusted family. I trusted a name." Keene glanced at Emily. "Sometimes family is the person who stands between you and your worst decision." Cole followed his gaze. Emily was gathering the medical equipment needed to return Noah to the protected room. Keene touched Cole's shoulder. Then he left. Cole walked toward Emily. She checked the portable monitor. "We need to move him back now." Cole did not hand Noah over. "Tell me how." Emily looked up. "How? What?" "How to carry him safely." She adjusted Cole's arm beneath the baby. "Keep his head supported. Hold him close enough to feel his breathing. Do not cover his face with the blanket." Cole followed every instruction. Emily lifted the infusion pump. They stepped into the corridor together. For the first time since Olivia's death, Cole walked through the hospital without armed men surrounding him. Emily stayed at his side. At the private procedure room, Rachel opened the door. "You kept him out longer than I wanted." "Grant talked more than we expected," Emily said. Rachel checked Noah before allowing Cole to place him into the warmed bed. The baby's temperature remained stable. His heart rate was elevated but controlled. His oxygen level had not fallen. Rachel adjusted the tubing. He handled it better than some adults would. Cole stood beside the bed. "He is a Maddox." Emily looked at him. "He is Noah." Cole met her eyes. Then he nodded. "He is Noah." Rachel continued her examination. Emily stepped outside to wash the blood from her mouth. Cole followed a moment later. She stood at the sink in an empty staff room, pressing a cool cloth against her jaw. He closed the door behind him. "Does it hurt?" "Yes." Cole came closer. "Why did you not let me take Caldwell?" "Because I am a nurse." "That does not explain it. It explains everything." Cole waited. Emily lowered the cloth. "I spent years treating soldiers after people with power made decisions far away from the blood. I learned that secret violence always creates another secret. Someone hides the body. Someone changes the report. Someone tells a family that nothing could have been done." Cole looked toward the sink. "You think I would have hidden what happened to Noah? I think you would have hidden Caldwell. He deserved worse than prison." "Maybe." Cole looked at her. "You agree I did not say prison was mercy." A tired breath left him. Emily placed the cloth on the counter. "You stopped because you were holding my son." "No. You stopped before you looked at him." Cole frowned. "I saw it." "What, the moment you chose?" Cole was silent. Emily stepped closer. "Grant wanted your grief to control you. It did not. He is still alive. For now." Cole looked toward the closed door. "I do not know what Keene will decide." Emily did not ask. She understood enough about his world to know Grant's future would not resemble a public trial. Cole studied her face. "You should be afraid of me. I was afraid of what you might do. That is not the same thing." "No." Why? Emily held his gaze. "Because every time it mattered, you listened." Cole reached toward her. His fingers stopped just before touching the bruise. "May I?" The question surprised her. She nodded. His thumb brushed the edge of the darkening mark with extraordinary care. Emily did not move away. The space between them became still. Cole's voice fell lower. "You stood between me and a gun twice. You were holding it both times. I am noticing a pattern. So am I." His hand remained against her face. Emily felt the warmth of his palm, the restraint in his touch, and the exhaustion beneath his controlled breathing. For one dangerous second, she wanted to close the distance. Noah cried from the next room. Cole pulled his hand away immediately. Emily smiled. "Your son has excellent timing." Cole looked toward the door. "He gets that from his mother." The words carried grief, but not collapse. Emily opened the door. They returned to Noah together. Cole stood beside the warmed bed and placed one finger near his son's hand. Noah closed his fingers around it. This time, Cole knew exactly how to stay still. Noah's fingers remained wrapped around Cole's hand. The grip was weak, no stronger than the touch of a falling leaf. But Cole did not move. For the first time since the explosion, he allowed himself to believe his son might live. Not because a doctor had offered hope, not because money had purchased another specialist, because Noah was still there, breathing, fighting, holding on. Emily stood beside the warmed bed and watched the monitor. The rhythm remained steady. The numbers were not perfect, but they no longer fell with every passing hour. Rachel entered with the latest laboratory results. "The compound is clearing from his blood," she said. "His kidneys are responding. His liver still shows injury, but the damage does not appear permanent." Cole looked at her. "When can he leave?" Rachel glanced at Emily. Emily answered. "When he can breathe without support, regulate his temperature, and gain weight consistently. How long? Days, if we are lucky. Weeks, if we are honest." Cole returned his attention to Noah. "Then we stay." Emily heard the certainty in his voice. "Not I stay. We stay." For 6 weeks, the 7th floor slowly returned to being a hospital. Cole's men stopped guarding every elevator. Weapons disappeared beneath jackets instead of resting openly near their hands. Other families began walking the halls without lowering their voices. Cole kept only 2 guards near Noah's room. Emily made him send one of them downstairs after the man frightened a mother carrying expressed milk. He was watching the corridor, Cole said. He was staring at her like she had stolen something. He stares at everyone like that. That is the problem. Cole looked toward the guard. Lobby. The man left without argument. Emily folded her arms. "You did not threaten him. I am growing. Slowly. I have never been accused of rushing personal development." She almost smiled. Cole noticed. He had begun collecting those moments. A small smile when Noah gained weight. A quiet laugh when Cole put a diaper on backward. The way Emily softened whenever she entered the nursery, even after a 12-hour shift. Noah's recovery came in ounces. 2 ounces gained over 3 days. 1 ounce lost after a difficult night. 3 more gained the following week. Cole recorded every number in the same black notebook where he once wrote questions for doctors. Emily found a new page one morning. 3 pounds, 14 ounces. Temperature stable. Breathing improved. Held him for 27 minutes. He cried twice. He stopped when I spoke. At the bottom, Cole had written 1 sentence. Olivia would have known what song to sing. Emily closed the notebook before he returned. She did not mention the line. That afternoon, she found him beside Noah's bed, humming quietly. The melody had no clear rhythm. Cole missed half the notes and repeated the same phrase until it became something close to a lullaby. Noah slept against his chest. Emily paused at the doorway. Cole looked up. "You can say it." "Say what?" "That I sound terrible." "You sound terrible." He nodded. "I respect your honesty. Your son appears less critical. He has low standards." Emily checked the monitor. Noah's breathing remained steady. "You are holding him correctly. I had a strict teacher." Cole watched her examine the line. "Do you ever stop working when the work is done?" "And when is that?" She looked at Noah. "Not yet." The investigation into Caldwell spread beyond the 7th floor. Federal agents seized hospital records, financial accounts, and private communications. Medical investigators reviewed every infant Caldwell had treated over the previous 5 years. Several families were contacted. Most learned that their children had received appropriate care. 2 cases raised serious questions. In both, Caldwell had altered documentation to hide medication errors. Neither child had died, but both families had spent years believing their babies suffered unavoidable complications. The hospital board attempted to describe Caldwell as a single corrupt physician who had acted without institutional knowledge. Emily testified before a closed committee. She sat beneath bright lights while attorneys questioned why she had removed samples without authorization. "You violated procedure," one lawyer said. "I preserved evidence." "You did not inform the attending physician. The attending physician was poisoning the patient. You could not have known that before the test. I knew the infant's symptoms did not match the diagnosis, and I knew the bags had been punctured." The attorney adjusted his papers. "Were you influenced by Mr. Maddox?" "No." "Did he pressure you to conduct an independent investigation?" "No." "Did his presence make you more likely to assume criminal activity?" Emily leaned forward. His presence made everyone else afraid to ask difficult questions. It did not make the needle mark appear. The room became quiet. Outside the hearing chamber, Cole waited near the elevators. Emily saw him as soon as the doors opened. "You were not supposed to come. I was nearby. You brought 4 cars. I was nearby with 4 cars." She continued walking. He followed. "What did they ask whether you influenced me? What did you say? That you were rarely helpful?" Cole placed one hand over his chest. "That is cruel. It is accurate." His expression changed when he saw the exhaustion in her face. "Did they threaten your license?" "They tried." "Give me the attorney's name." "No." "Emily." "No." He stopped beside her. "I can make this easier. That is exactly what they expect." Cole looked toward the hearing room. "They are protecting the hospital. I know. And you are going to let them." "I am going to make them answer questions in public." His jaw tightened. "That takes time." "Yes, I know faster methods." She faced him. "Easy is not always right." Cole looked at her for several seconds. Then he stepped away from the hearing room doors. "All right." Emily studied his face. "That is all you said, no. You usually argue longer. I am learning to recognize when the conversation is already over." The hospital eventually announced major changes. Every customized nutrition bag would require verification by 2 employees. All high-risk medication would use tamper-resistant packaging. Camera footage near critical care units would be reviewed by an independent security office. Nurses could request emergency toxicology testing without approval from the attending physician when deliberate contamination was suspected. The changes did not erase what happened. They made it harder to happen again. Caldwell was charged with attempted murder, medical fraud evidence tampering, and conspiracy. His photograph appeared on every local news channel. Cole refused to watch. Emily did. She watched because the public record mattered, because the families deserved to hear his name attached to the truth. Grant never reached a courtroom. 3 days after his removal from the hospital, his body was found inside an abandoned warehouse near the Delaware River. The police report mentioned internal violence and no known witnesses. Emily read the article alone in the nurse's station. Cole entered carrying coffee. He placed one cup beside her. She turned the phone face down. "You knew." Cole did not pretend to misunderstand. "I knew what the captains would decide. You could have stopped them." "Yes, but you did not." "No." Emily looked at him. There was no victory in his face, no satisfaction, only a tired acceptance that belonged to a world she did not share. "Did you order it? No. Did you approve it?" Cole looked through the glass at Noah. "I did not object." Emily lowered her eyes. For several moments, neither spoke. Cole moved toward the door. "I will understand if you want me to leave." Emily looked up. "You always decide the ending before anyone else speaks." He stopped. "I do not know how to live in your world," she said. "I would never ask you to, but your world follows you into every room. I know. And one day it could follow Noah." Cole's expression tightened. "That will not happen. You cannot promise that." "I can try." She held his gaze. "That answer is better." Cole remained where he was. Emily pushed the untouched coffee toward the empty chair. He sat. They did not resolve the distance between them that morning. They simply refused to walk away from it. A week later, Noah breathed without mechanical support for the first time. Cole stood beside the incubator as the respiratory therapist removed the final tube. Noah cried immediately. The sound filled the room. Cole looked alarmed. "Is that normal?" Emily laughed. "Yes. He sounds angry. He has had a difficult month." Cole placed one hand near Noah's chest. The baby continued crying. "What do I do?" "Pick him up." Cole hesitated. "Without the wires, he still has monitors." "That is not what I meant." Emily understood. For weeks, machines had been the only proof that Noah was alive. Removing them felt less like freedom and more like stepping into darkness without a map. She opened the incubator, put one hand behind his head. Cole followed her instructions. He lifted Noah and held him against his chest. The crying stopped. Cole stared down at him. Noah opened his eyes. For a second, father and son simply looked at each other. Emily stepped back. She felt like she was witnessing something private. Cole looked toward her. "Stay." It was not an order. Emily stayed. 2 weeks later, Noah was discharged. The nurses gathered near the elevator as Cole carried him in a small blue blanket. The guards kept their distance. Emily handed Cole a folder of feeding schedules, medications, and emergency instructions. "You will call if his temperature changes." "Yes." "If he refuses 2 feedings." "Yes." "If his breathing becomes rapid." "Yes." "If anything feels wrong." Cole looked at her. "I will call if he sneezes." "You probably will." The elevator doors opened. Cole did not step inside. "Come with us." Emily looked at Noah. "I have another shift. After your shift. You have nurses at the house. They are afraid of me." "That sounds like a problem you created. It is a problem you could solve." Emily looked at him. Cole's voice softened. "Dinner." She remained silent. "No guards at the table," he said. "No guns in the nursery." "Agreed. No one following me home." He hesitated. Emily raised one eyebrow. "Agreed. No deciding who I speak to or where I go." Cole exhaled. "You negotiate like a hostage specialist. I learned from difficult patients." His mouth curved slightly. "And if I agree to all of that, then I may come to dinner." The elevator doors began to close. Cole placed one hand between them. Tomorrow, Emily pressed the open button. Friday. Cole stepped inside. Friday. 6 months later, the Olivia Maddox Center for Infant Care opened at Liberty Children's Medical Center. The new wing occupied 2 floors overlooking the river. It provided neonatal treatment to families regardless of income. Every room carried updated security systems, sealed medication storage, and windows designed to let parents remain close to their children. Emily accepted the position of clinical nursing coordinator after an independent committee offered it. Cole had donated the money. He had not chosen her job. She made sure of that. At the opening ceremony, Emily stood behind a podium before hospital staff, families, and local reporters. Cole remained near the back of the room, holding Noah. The baby had round cheeks now. His dark hair had begun to curl above his ears. He gripped Cole's tie with one hand and refused to release it. Emily finished her remarks and stepped away from the microphone. Cole met her near the window. "You survived the entire speech," she said. "I considered escaping through the kitchen. What stopped you?" Cole looked down at Noah. "He outranks me." Noah reached toward Emily. Cole handed him over without hesitation. The trust inside that movement meant more than any promise. That evening, Emily arrived at Cole's townhouse for dinner. There were no guards inside the nursery. No weapons rested on the tables. The house felt quieter than she expected. Photographs of Olivia remained on the walls. Emily was glad. Cole did not hide the woman he had loved to make room for someone new. After dinner, Noah fell asleep in his crib. Cole and Emily stepped onto the balcony. Philadelphia stretched beneath them in a field of gold lights. "I spent most of my life making people afraid of me," Cole said. "I noticed. I thought fear meant control." And now Cole looked through the glass doors at his sleeping son. "It kept me alive." He turned back to her. "It never taught me how to live." Emily stepped closer. "That part takes practice." Cole lifted one hand toward her face. He stopped before touching her, the same way he had stopped beside Noah's incubator months earlier, waiting for permission. Emily leaned into his palm. Cole kissed her gently. There was no desperation in it, no debt, no promise made in the heat of danger, only choice. From the nursery, Noah began to cry. Emily pulled back. "Your boss is calling." Cole closed his eyes. "He has terrible timing. He gets that from his father." They went inside together. Cole lifted Noah from the crib while Emily warmed a bottle. Beyond the windows, Philadelphia remained dangerous, restless, and full of shadows. Inside the nursery, the most feared man in the city walked slowly across the floor, humming badly to calm his son. Noah settled against his chest. Emily stood beside them. Once, a nearly invisible needle mark had exposed the man who tried to destroy the Maddox family. But it was the woman who refused to look away who taught Cole how to protect what remained.